Hello, Llewellyn. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Hello, Llewellyn. Is that Llewellyn? Or is that Felix?
How are you, John?
Hey, Llewellyn, welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry, I didn't realize I was still connected. It's a little early, hey? You guys starting in about 15 minutes or so?
Yeah. And please ask questions.
No, I will definitely
Okay.
ask some questions.
Okay, good.
Okay, you all right? Otherwise, John?
Yeah, everything's good. Everything's good. Just setting up here. Takes a while, like getting the OR ready, getting the case ready.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Okay.
I'll join you in 15 minutes, John.
Okay, good.
Perfect. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. What's wrong with that? Okay. Felix from Chile. Está de Chile.
Hola, sí, en Chile.
Sí, tú puedes esta pregunta a los. You can ask the questions directly if you'd like. The question you asked me, because you're going to have a lot of people answering it. Do you understand, Felix?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Do you have a camera, Felix, today or no?
No, currently. No.
Okay. Well, whatever. Okay, whatever. Okay. Anyways, welcome everybody. Here's Chandra. Change that background. Hey, Chandra.
Hi, John. Great to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for organizing this. I'm hoping that Andre and Moody will both join soon.
Good. Good. So Andre's going to more or less moderate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just introduce him and away we go with him.
Well, the idea is that Moody will introduce the subject. I will talk a little bit about the contents, and then I'm happy to see some friends have joined us already. So we'll be very happy to have any interactions.
Yeah, that would be great if they can. I mean, I'm sure there are questions. We just got to frame it right. We got to set it up. Okay. Well, I'll be back.
And if just in case I forget, the publishers have said that for next 3 weeks, they will give a discount of 30%, which I have to announce.
Okay, yeah, do that. Yeah, don't be afraid. There's nothing wrong with spreading education.
Yeah.
No one's going to argue with that. So, let's see. Where you're in Mumbai now?
I am back in Mumbai.
Did you travel at all? Because a bunch of guys went to Bogota. Yeah, Dr. Atul went to Bogota.
Colombia was, and then we had a meeting in Delhi yesterday and today. So I came back just a few hours ago.
Oh, okay. On the run. Yeah, Atul had a grand tour over there. He went to, I think he's in Rio now.
Absolutely.
He went to Bogota and now he's in Rio, and he did a webcast from Rio from his room.
That's right. I couldn't manage Rio in my whole schedule.
Yeah. Well, I
In
guess you
fact,
figured,
I had 2 talks in Rio today. It was not good for me to leave that meeting, but I just had to come back.
no, did they have a virtual televising
No,
of it? No. Oh, you were supposed to speak
the
there. You were supposed to
Rio
speak
guys
there.
did not want any virtual attendance.
Yeah, that's the impression I got. I didn't really push them. Yeah, I think they just wanted to get away from it, actually.
Hmm.
'Cause
I think
every-
there is some kind of a fatigue that has set in. That's what everybody says.
Yeah,
But I still think that there are many programs which can still continue, but the regular society meetings probably will not happen virtually anymore.
no, I think it's changed. I think it's changed forever. And I think it's going to get, I'm not just saying it's to be self-serving, but my observation, I theorize that once people go back to a conference, it'll be great, oh, great, great, but then they'll say, wait a minute, I spent this much money, and man, I had to close my practice. And, they're gonna say, you know what, I'm gonna stay home and do this. I really think there are gonna be a lot of people like that think it's conferences.
You are right. I think most meetings should become hybrid.
Yeah, they will be. They will be. They will be.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be part of it. And I think it's going to be hard just to do the in-person, because by then it'll be ingrained in people, like the benefits of not closing a practice, which is a huge benefit.
That is true. I think I'm just sending out messages for people.
Yeah, I'll leave
to
you
join.
alone here. Okay, I gotta do some stuff. Hello, Zanab.
Yes, sir. Good day, sir.
How you doing?
Fine, thank
No.
you, sir. How are you?
Good. No, your audio is good.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, don't be afraid to ask questions, Zanab, okay?
Okay, sir.
After they're going to give a presentation, the usual, and then they're going to open it up. But any questions you have, don't be afraid to ask, okay?
Okay, sir.
And welcome. No camera today, right?
Ready?
No camera today. That's okay, because your voice is good. You can
Thank
hear
you,
your
sir.
audio. Your audio is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to
Thank you
mute
so
you
much,
there.
sir.
Okay, I'm going to mute you. Zanab, okay.
Good morning, Andre. Thanks for joining.
I have to switch on video. Let's see. Hi, good to see you. Well, it's evening for you, or early evening, I think it is.
Hello, Andre. I'm John Bennett.
Hi, John.
Nice to meet you.
I see a nice area behind you.
Yes, it's a beautiful area. So yeah, Andre, you're going to moderate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just introduce you and you take over. Just do what you need to do.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, and however,
We wait for Mahmoud Qureshi.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
He will join in a minute, I'm sure. Yeah.
Moody will talk, Andre, as you and I'll follow him. I made some slides out of some highlighting some of the book chapter. I mean, basically,
if you want to
giving
do
some
so,
idea about the contents. Yeah.
then you just say that and you can share screen.
Yeah, I'll do that after you and Moody has talked. Yeah.
Yes.
Andre, where are you from?
I'm from the Netherlands.
Oh, okay. I've seen you, of course, on the internet.
Well, I have also seen you. I think we are even connected through LinkedIn and Facebook, and you call it all these social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although in the past few years, I have become rather restrictive in doing that, and it's not using it very frequently.
Yeah. You know, I was surprised to see that neurosurgeons are big Twitter users.
Yeah, that's
in the United States, especially. I was surprised. I was, wow.
Also, because here it is not very common.
Twitter's not common in Netherlands.
No, WhatsApp is at least, and we have actually for neurosurgeons, we have this, for doctors, we have Silo, where it is even, it's a secure area where you even can send pictures and scans and ask opinions. And so that's a kind of doctor's app. But generally WhatsApp, we have a lot of WhatsApp groups where we join. But I know that Twitter, I mean, not the current president, but the former POTUS, was a very active Twitterer until he was not allowed to Twitter anymore.
There was never a dull moment. I'll tell you, during his 4 years, you knew he had something interesting on the news.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's.
I miss the entertainment, really.
Well,
of course, it's more than entertainment, but
it is serious, and therefore, but usually you could say that would be a fantastic daily soap to watch.
Yeah, it was better. Better. Who would have thought that he'd have Kanye West going to the White House?
Now,
I mean, how insane is that?
But listen, you have a history. Like, I mean, you have a former actor like Ronald Reagan who came into the White House. So I always wonder is how these people come somehow floating up, and the choices you have as a voter in the US between two people. I say, wow, are these two
I know
really best people for the job in your country? Wow.
I know when Donald Trump ran, I know the world was going to say that.
Yeah.
I know the world was going to say that because he floated the idea of running. He floated that a long time ago, but he didn't think that people would want him. But eventually it caught on. So he said, hey, the people want me to do it. I'm going to do it.
Well, and there is only, I mean, I certainly didn't agree with everything he did, but at least he did what he said he would do.
Yeah.
That's not very common among politicians.
Yeah.
That they really do what they promise that they will do when they are in office. That's it's only during elections, and here we have an election after 4 years. Everyone has forgotten about all these not fulfilled promises, and then it starts over again. They promise you the blue out of the sky and everything will be fine, and then well, when they are in power, they don't care. They just go on with the game, and that's well, that is what we call democracy.
I am Moody. Please join.
Yeah, that's the point of it. Anyone can achieve anything. Ideally. Everyone could-
Oh, that's one of the things indeed. Yes, yes, yes.
It's similar. It's of course it's like that in the Netherlands, right? It's a different structure, but
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's also sometimes very
it's
difficult.
not a monarchy or anything like
No,
that,
well,
right?
yeah, it is a monarchy, but the king has more in
No power, no political power.
no political power.
Yeah.
But we have now 29 political parties that you can vote on. So
Oh, okay.
usually government consists of 4 or 5 and parties. And this time it took nearly 10 months to get a government. And of course, the whole thing they do is a compromise of 5 parties who never wanted to be together. Everyone wants to be in power, but then because you don't have the majority of seats in the parliament, so you have to find people, and then you start compromising, and therefore, in the end effect, it doesn't change a lot over the different governments. It usually levels out. So it's well, I think it is everywhere the same.
Yeah, well, politics and medicine too. Well, okay, I think Moody, are you here?
No, well, I see Amir Qureshi. I think that is his son. I don't see Moody.
Yeah, I think Sean, are you calling Moody?
Yeah, he will.
I did. Amir is here. So Amir, can you hear us?
Yes, hi, Chandrasekhar. Let me just see if I can get through to him.
Great. We are
Yeah.
just waiting for Moody to, join.
Ask you that to
Sure, let me see if I can,
because it is already
get it.
time now, and then so we should.
You want to start, Chandra?
Yes, I think.
Well, I give it 1 minute more. Let's
Okay.
Amir
Okay, yeah, we're not real
doing
tight.
this. And,
We can hang on a couple of minutes.
You have another thing coming up after this, isn't it,
No,
John?
I don't, no.
Okay, so then maybe we give it 2-3 minutes. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you can
Also,
take as long as you guys want. So there's no time limit, just see how it goes.
I will have one more meeting for a webinar that is upcoming on Wednesday, but that is at 7 p.m. local time here. So that's in 5.5 hours. I
Okay.
assume we are finished by then.
No, it won't be 5.5. I don't think, Chandra, right? I don't think
We
so.
should be finished long before that.
With neurosurgeons, you never know. You never know.
No, you know the word laconic comes from Sparta. The Greek word neurosurgeons are laconic. They don't say much. Very short.
They're short. That's right. They just act.
Yeah.
Amir, are you in Nairobi or in Cape Town?
Well, neither. I'm actually currently in Windhoek, Namibia.
Okay.
Windhoek.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dad is currently, I think, in Cairo. He had actually gone up there for
He's
a
in
meeting.
Cairo.
So,
Yeah, there is a meeting. There is a meeting indeed. Yes.
yeah.
From Nasser.
I think you've got a poor reception there. I've sent him a message. We'll see if he gets it.
No, but that should be fine.
Yeah.
I don't know if you gentlemen get the bad link. I made a boo-boo and sent out bad links. One of the batch of promotion I sent. And Chandra, I think you alerted me, or Moody
Okay.
alerted me.
No, we have the right one. You sent an alert around, and therefore I found the right one. So that should be okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Hi, Moody. Waiting for you to join urgently, please. You picked up the phone, all right.
Now we have Ayman Qureshi.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The family, huh?
Family is joining.
Good. There's two sons, huh?
You're muted, Amir.
Sorry. So I'm not sure if Ayman wants to just introduce himself. He's an interventional neuroradiologist.
Ah, okay.
Hi, hello everyone. Hello everyone.
Okay.
Good,
Okay, welcome.
good morning or good afternoon, wherever you may be in the world. I'm currently in Sheffield, in the United Kingdom.
Ah, okay.
We've just gone into afternoon at the moment.
Yeah.
Watching over my 7-week-old daughter, so you'll have to excuse me.
Oh, wow.
Yes, just waiting to
So-
see.
That's a life-changing event. Yes.
It is.
Yeah, no. It will never ever be the same, but it will be better.
No.
It's yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's most
Moody
wonderful.
needs 10 more minutes, so we can probably start.
Yeah, we can start.
Okay, okay, here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good morning. This is Dr. John Bennett from Neurosurgical TV in beautiful Miami Beach, right behind me. We have today, we're going to do a book review of the WFNS Guide to Neuroendoscopy, and we're going to have Andre Groden-Huys from the Netherlands moderating, and he'll run the show. Welcome, Andre.
Thank you, John, and it's a pleasure. I welcome everyone, wherever they are. So good morning, good afternoon, or good evening for all of you who are joining us. Well, it is it's rare to do this. I mean, a book review is something that usually you write down, but now we do this on TV. And it's really brand new. It just has been published, at least as an ebook. It is available, and it will be soon also be available as a hard copy. But let's discuss this. This is an initiative from the World Federation of Neurosurgical Societies, the WFNS, and they have several committees. And one of the committees was the Neuroendoscopy Committee. And over time, there were 2 chairmen, and one is already joining us here. That is Chandra Deopujar, and the other co-chairman was the Mahmoud Qureshi from Kenya. He will join in a few minutes. He is still busy in Cairo. That's typical. We, as neurosurgeons, we are always around the world and busy doing this. But so from the 2 chairmen have, at that time when they started 2017, done a lot of practical courses around the world. And I was always surprised, thinking that, wow, more or less now everyone should have done a course already, but that's not true. There is a high demand in training and proper training in neuroendoscopy. Neuroendoscopy is a technique that's now around in modern neurosurgery, around for about 30 years, a little more maybe, and that's and still it is developing. And from these practical courses, and during the pandemic, these were webinars, I think this idea came up, and this is something that I will ask now Chandra to explain. The idea came up to write this down. And my question to you, Chandra, is what was the idea behind this specific book, what is called a guide to neuroendoscopy?
Well, Andre, you could not make it to Beijing, but during the Beijing meeting, the committee actually, we had some brainstorming, and we were wondering that what can we contribute more apart from hands-on workshops, because they are restricted to a very few people. Though we managed to do workshops in India, in some parts of Africa, we also did one in Serbia. Domenico is here, Roman is here. They have all been very helpful in doing this. But when the pandemic was not very well anticipated, idea came during that meeting is that we should probably write something which would be useful for the beginners, write about not only just some procedures or nuances of surgery, but what are the basic needs for it, what is the sort of minimum kind of equipment that you need for each procedure. And when this question came, I think many members volunteered, and some other non-members but very active neuroendoscopic surgeons also joined this, and we put together some ideas and created kind of content. This content developed much better, as you have very nicely said in the preface, during the pandemic, when we created several webinars with the same idea. And most of the people who spoke in those webinars have written those chapters, as you would find. You unfortunately missed out on Bogota, but in Bogota, we officially kind of launched the book, and hardcover edition is become available now. It is available on Amazon, and I would probably, the publishers probably may join us towards the end of this, but basically they have told me that as an inaugural discount for the next 3 weeks, the book will be available at a 40% discount. We have priced it at about 55 euros, about $60 right now. But that's later on. I think as and when you feel, we were wondering that we talk more about this concept before we talk about the contents of the book, but I would be happy to share the contents of the book as we go along.
No, I think the concept is clear. It was practical guidelines, and if I go through the content, but we will come back to that later, then you indeed see that there are a lot of pearls for daily practice when you want to really do and perform an endoscopic procedure. You really can find help in those chapters. And it is, I mean, when neuroendoscopy started, and it was late 80s, early 90s of the last century, there were some books. I remember that one of the books that I contributed to was from Kim Menwaring. These were already also practical things. It was started, that was a new technique, and that was developing, and it was difficult to keep up with the development with all these new techniques that were coming up. And that is the good part. I think the technique, anything like endoscopy in skull base, but also for hydrocephalus, cystic lesions into the spine, it has matured. So now we can talk more about real professional standards in this field of neurosurgery, much more than in the beginning. And in between, we have seen some books, but they were on very specific subjects, like endoscopic approach to pituitary, or so the very specific points. And this is a kind of overview. And was that indeed one of the objects that you had, the objectives, to really get an overview of the current state of the art of neuroendoscopy?
Yes, I think that's very well put. We wanted the book to be relevant for essential procedures like third ventriculostomy, etc., in children, which probably have a lot of importance in the developing world. But at the same time, endoscopic pituitary and other skull-based surgery is becoming very popular, and there are many people who are trying to learn this. Most of the workshops remain full even in India today, though we have been doing these workshops for 15 years now, and there is a lot of curiosity. But to give it proper channel, I think the book cannot replace hands-on workshops probably, but it can certainly help to get you to learn quite a few things which will make you prepared. Maybe the hands-on workshop or some observership in a where masters are working, probably that would be the finishing touch for many people, but this would prepare them for those kind of procedures. So we have talked about simple procedures as well and some complex surgeries as well as we go along in the book.
So what would you suggest that people who maybe are junior and starting in this and residents in training, that they start reading the book and then subscribe to one of the webinars or hands-on courses? Or would you say if you do a hands-on course, afterwards, this is a very nice reference book to look the things up that have been taught during the courses?
Absolutely, both. In fact, it's a good preparation to get into training, as well as it would help you just in case you have a surgery tomorrow, and many of us still look at something when we are performing something new, or when you have not performed enough procedures. We look up at some, and this is a good reference book for that kind of a guide.
Yes, although it doesn't has the format of what I would call a cookbook, a recipe book, like
No, it's
take this amount of, and then
yes,
you do step by step by step, and then the final result is a good dinner, or in this case, then a good procedure. This is of course not. But if you look to the different chapters, and we will discuss it in the content, then you will see there are some of these very practical tips inside. And I think that will be very helpful and very useful for the readers.
absolutely. The one of the probably drawbacks is that when you are doing a hardbound book, it becomes a little difficult, but we were wondering if we should have some videos included. But I think now currently there are so many videos available on the YouTube, or there are many people who are having their personal channels apart from many organizations. And I think there are all the webinars which we conducted during this pandemic, they are all available on the YouTube of the World Federation website as well. And therefore, we thought that should suffice for now. But maybe when we are getting the ebook ready for mass circulation, maybe we could give links to those at the same time.
Yeah, what I saw in all these chapters, and they were, and that's sometimes difficult, I think, because it is multi-authored. So not everyone has the same style of writing, and I think for you too, as the co-editors, this was not an easy task to get a kind of similarity into the different chapters, so that it had the format would be really focusing to be educational. And I think you succeeded very well to that. And I also think it will stand the test of time. These are well established and well developed techniques that have been described by people, as you have mentioned already in your introduction, that by well-known neurosurgeons who are really, really active in this field.
I think Dr. Qureshi is waiting in the waiting room. John, maybe you could allow him to join.
That would be, let's say, that would be great to have him.
Yeah, I'll get him in just a second. He's got his hand raised and everything. Yeah, he's jumping right into the frying pan. Hello, Mahmood.
Hi, John. I've been
Welcome.
waiting.
Welcome.
Very
You're on
good.
you're on stage right now.
Okay, great. The video, yeah, all right. Now you can see me.
Very good.
Welcome.
So now it's a great pleasure. Now we have both editors of the book. I already introduced you more or less also when you were there as the co-chairman together with Chandra for many years of the WFNS Neuroendoscopy Committee, and this was one of the projects of doing this. And my question to Chandra, so now also to you, was the fact, how have you managed such a multi-authored book to get these authors to write chapters to keep a kind of similarity in the chapters, so that it is not that it is a one wheel book to read and not just little books inside the big book.
Great. Thank you very much for letting place where Wi-Fi was a problem, so I had to run from one place to the other. But anyway, nice seeing you, Chandra and Andre, and everyone else. I think you ask a very pertinent question. This is a big ask of any committee, but I think we were very fortunate. I think we were fortunate because when we first put together the committee, we essentially wrote to the world experts to join us in the committee. And I think as soon as we had our first committee meeting, there was enthusiasm not to lose the momentum and to ensure that what we are discussing at the various forums got to get sketched into posterity, as it were. And I think we had really fairly experienced committee members who, as shared with you, really thought that one of the best ways of doing that, at that time there wasn't the pandemic, was to essentially try and put it into a booklet of sorts. At that time it was like a booklet of guidelines. But as we discussed this online with them, it was pretty clear that each one was an expert. There's no doubt about it. And that they were going to be more keen to get it into some kind of book of guidelines. And I think the need was certainly there. At every meeting, as you know, Andre, we've been to, the young folks, the young neurosurgeons, the residents are all keen on learning not the basic steps, how to proceed to the more advanced steps, what are the complications. So it was almost like a recipe was being made for us as to how to get through this book. And when we put those queries by the young neurosurgeons, the trainees, and those interested in neuroendoscopy to the committee, it didn't seem to be a big ask because that was their natural way of doing things. How to do it step by step, how to do it correctly.
We actually gave a template. We created a template and we shared it with all the authors as to.
Yeah.
And one of the things which Moody insisted, I think, was very important, that what can you do with minimum equipment and what can you do with high-end equipment also probably differs a little bit. Like I think these nuances have also come through when we have tried to discuss various procedures.
So you are happy with the end result?
There is no uniformity like what we would have liked. I mean, it's not really that every chapter reads exactly the same order, but most of the points have been covered. So in that sense, yes, I think the authors have been quite particular about sticking to most of the basics and then describing it has gone in a stepwise fashion.
And I think
the diversity has also helped because different individuals have a different writing style, And I think to constrain them into a straitjacket style would perhaps not have brought out their natural flair. And I think allowing them that leeway and allowing that flair to show itself up, I think is reflected. Andre, you will have gone through the book, and when you look at it, it really comes out like a text reference. How do I do it, and what should I avoid? And it's pleasing to see. So
it's very nice to see if we look through the content. It's similar to the practical courses and also to the webinars. Everyone has another teaching style, but still can bring forward the points you want to do. And I think what I like very much is that what we all have experienced is when participants in a course or in a webinar, at the end of that, when the next day, when they are back in their regular daily practice, all of a sudden you realize, how do I do this here at home? And that's not so easy to do. And then when you find yourself being on your own again, not within the group in the practical course where you have the tutor who will show you, do this and do this. And now you have this book at hand, which is not very heavy, fortunately. You don't need a huge big book. It must be handy. And then you can really look into that chapter that you need to reread the little tips and tricks and pearls that the author has written down. And that will remind you again of the course that you did. And I think this is, therefore, it is a great addition to the practical courses and the webinars. And therefore, it was a very timely product that we have now.
Absolutely. I think, I mean, and the other thing that was, as one reads the book, there are sort of insights into the future, which obviously are very nicely written by the authors. And, the ultrasound chapter that Llewellyn has written, for example, and others, they're giving us insights into the nuances of the future, which is, there can't be any reference book that's going to be complete for the future, but you've given those insights, and it was very, I personally think it's a very pleasing result. But I have to congratulate Chandra for really getting onto the Salubris, the people who actually got it printed. I think they really pulled out all the stops, because suddenly Bogota was on us, and it was definitely going to happen. And when we knew it was going to happen, I think they pulled out all the stops. And Chandra, you have to be congratulated, as is Bush and Tombre, who really did a marvelous job in putting everything together in a readable format. And Salubris really did an amazing job, I have to say. I mean, 2 months ago, we were in doubt, as you know, and they pulled out all the stops and got it done in record time, and was all set for presentation at Bogota. So well done to the folks who put it together, really.
I can probably share some glimpses of the book if
yes, that
if
would
it's
be
okay.
very good now to go a little bit into.
And then there are some authors with us who have joined. Maybe they can give us some of their impressions.
Yes, I see. Roman,
most of them haven't actually read the book,
yes.
but can you see?
Yes, but you can go into presentation. Perfect. This looks very good.
Okay.
Yes.
So just 1 second. This is the cover of the book, and Salubris is a local publisher, but they have actually come out with a very nice publication. Once you lay your hands on it, you will be able to probably see. And I thank the whole committee for not only this initiative, but to make sure that it comes out in reasonable time. And I must thank Andre that after sampling some chapters, he has given us a good preface. He's also described not only the purpose, but some of the highlights of the book as to what we were trying to do. And
I think the choice of Andre was just perfect. Andre is always such a critical thinker that it was just the appropriate person to give us that preface. Really. Thank you very much.
We have 21 chapters here which cover most of the aspects of current use of neuroendoscopy. I think there are 2 or 3 things which are missing here, and we are trying to include it in the ebook about 3D endoscopy, about flexible endoscopy, which are already in use and probably would be more and more used in future. So those 2 will be more like supplements which will come very soon, and we'll try to incorporate in the ebook. It starts with actually Dr. Venkatramana, one of my colleagues from Bangalore, writing about why do we need this kind of a book. And he has talked about what guidelines should actually mean, that we should have validity, reliability, reproducibility, clinical applicability, which is very, very important, clinical flexibility, which is equally important, and absolute clarity. Apart from effective documentation, which brings that clarity, you also need to develop through a multidisciplinary process and effective reviews, which is what we are trying to now ask you, and how to improve it later on as the e-version will come along. And I think the goal for societies are, very well outlined. We've been trying to do practical workshops. We have been trying to do cadaver workshops, and this is just an extra effort to, make it more permanent. Dr. Qureshi and Dr. Nasir have written this very good chapter on the basics of endoscopic procedures for hydrocephalus with beautiful pictures. And then this is followed by Dr. Abhaya Kulkarni and Dr. Dakuna from Brazil. And of course, Abhay and his colleague from Toronto. And this includes not only how to position the patient, how the equipment is kept, and the technical nuances in performing a ETV CPC with a rigid scope, and as well as a little mention about the flexible scopes as well. Samer and his colleagues have written a very good chapter on arachnoid cysts, the use of endoscopy, which is becoming the mainstay of arachnoid cyst treatment as well. And there are some good guidelines about which patients to treat also. So indications have also been very well localized. Henry Schroeder and Andre have collaborated on this chapter for colloid cyst, which has beautiful pictures. There are illustrative diagrams as to how to approach, and there is also operative pictures and several high definition pictures to show how do you actually excise the cyst. This is followed by a chapter on intraventricular tumors by Ortel to look at the common tumors in the third ventricle and even in lateral ventricles, how to approach them, and how to use, this is the endoscopic cavitron aspirator, how to use that for effective treatment of intraventricular tumors. And Dr. Bojnak from Slovenia has actually written not very often practiced procedure on pure endoscopic surgery for pineal region tumors. Many of us are doing endoscope assisted surgery in this area, and probably this will prompt us to try and do more pure endoscopic procedures. And this is again a beautifully illustrated article. And as Dr. Qureshi just told us that we have followed this up with the complication avoidance as a major kind of topic, which has been written for the ventricular endoscopy by Dr. El Beltaghi from Cairo. And he has very nicely demonstrated as to what procedures should be done and how to avoid various pitfalls. As Moody already said that Dr. Levlin and I think he's taken Nasir Algander's help as well, who use ultrasound regularly for infants and young children for performing complex endoscopic procedures for multiseptate and other kind of hydrocephalus, cysts, etc. And there is a wonderful chapter by now the current chairman, Dr. Wolfsberger, about how to do pre-surgical planning and navigation, especially for neuroendoscopy, which is becoming more and more important as we are going into various areas. We started with pituitary, but now that we have started going further, it has become an essential component. And he has illustrated beautifully as to how to use it for endoscopic endonasal surgery as well as for intraventricular surgery. Walid has written the chapter on pituitary surgery, and things are described right from what should be the theater setup, what is the importance of the sphenoid sinus septae, and how to get to the tumor apart from removal of the tumor itself. And Dr. Solari and his colleagues have written a wonderful chapter with a large amount of referenced work about endonasal excision of craniopharyngiomas, and Dr. Boynak has done the same with anterior cranial fossa meningiomas, as you will find on the other side of the screen. Unfortunately, Dr. Gentili could not join in the chapter on meningioma because of his untimely illness and death during this, and we honor his memory, but he has not been able to contribute to the book because of these reasons. He was very enthusiastic otherwise. Some of Levlin, Domenico, Dr. Boynak are here, and maybe they would like to give their comments. This has also been followed by a chapter on chordomas and chondrosarcoma by Ricardo Carao and Prabedello team from Columbus, Ohio, who have a huge experience, and they have also reference to major work which has been done on these subjects recently. And this is another highlight of the book, that you have a lot of suggested further readings if you want to get into the depths of these subjects in future. Dr. James Evans from Philadelphia has given us a glimpse of how endoscopic solutions can be found even in malignancies at the skull base, including the complex process of how to repair the skull base defects, because these procedures where you have to extensively remove the dura and the bone result in many complex repair procedures. I have written about the hardships or the difficulties in operating on small children and how to make the use of available mucosal flaps even in young children for this. And this is also followed by a chapter we've written about endoscopic skull base surgery complications, including carotid bleed, which is one of the most dreaded complication, and how do you follow up these patients, and how do you prevent as well as how do you treat these patients. Dr. Milani from Italy has given us a very nice review as well as step-by-step guide about how to approach ventrally the craniovertebral junction compression, and this is also a very nicely illustrated chapter. And Dr. Kanan has written about hybrid use, so some amount of endoscopic skull base surgery in the suprasellar region and middle fossa has been quite nicely described by these techniques, as he believes that endoscope assistance probably gives us a more versatile view of things. And this is followed by the chapter on spine, which is written by Salman Sharif and Yoki Mortel and their teams, which have talked about how to approach the lumbar spine, as well as a brief reference to how can we tackle the cervical spine surgeries also. Future trends and confocal neuroendoscopy have also been discussed, and I think molecular imaging and use of confocal endoscopy probably is going to be applicable more and more, especially for the tumor surgeries, intraventricular as well as skull base in future. So basically, I think we promised a book which will be of value in achieving some of the goals set for not only the developing world, but would also be for most people in training. And I think we have been guided in this by Andre and some other senior persons. And I also thank the publishers to make it available. As I told you, it has become available on Amazon for about $60. And the publishers have given an inaugural discount of 40% for the next 3 weeks. So that's what I just thought I should share with you.
Mm-hmm. Very nice, Chandra. That's it gives already a glimpse into the content of the book. You have shown the chapters, and I think many will now be really interesting in the complete content of it. You mentioned that there is also an ebook. Will that also be available soon?
Ebook is taking a little bit of time. There's some logistic issues, how to make it available, etc. But I think it would be available for almost quarter of the price in about 2 to 3 months time. We are just wondering if we should link the video content to that, or how should we, and probably get at least the 2 more topics which we have missed out on this into the ebook as well. So it will take a few. Currently, I have shared contents, but they are not in the form of proper ebook, which can be downloaded and which can be printed. But it will be available soon, I think, in a couple of months. Maybe if the manager who looked after our book is available here, she may be able to give her plan to us very soon. But I think it should happen within next 3 months.
Okay, but that's a reasonable time. I mean, we know how quick time goes, so that will be rather soon. Moody, any comment to the content? I mean, you know it, of course.
I think the 2 things that really come out when you come to this is, one, that there's a fair amount of detail by experts. There's no doubt about that. But equally importantly is the huge number of references that they have offered in their chapters. So this is not just a quick reference book, but it then gives you references to their reference book. And I think anyone interested in pursuing this topic further has really an elaborate source which they can utilize. And I think the committee has been made proud by its contributors. There's absolutely no doubt. And I know that Domenico has got his hand up, and there are others. I would really want them to contribute to this. And if it's okay with Andre, perhaps Domenico, you could go and
I think that we have a few of the authors here, and Domenico is one of them. And maybe the organizers can also put Roman Bozniak from Slovenia in as a panelist so that he can answer. And I see Llewellyn Parayachi from Pretoria. And that would be very nice. So we give the first word to Domenico.
David Milani is here as well.
Oh, okay. So that some of the authors can also give their view on how they look to their own contribution and to this book. So maybe Domenico, you can start. Are you there? You have to unmute. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Andre. Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. I just raised my hand to thank Dr. Qureshi and Dr. Deopujar, because like they tribute in these 2 years, these tremendous years of pandemic, it has been great. It has been great in the educational way, as it should be in the neurosurgical community and in any other communities. They have been working hard since the first moment in Beijing. and they gave a lot of opportunity to learn, a lot of opportunity to discuss, and it has been transversal. I don't know if this really gets the sense that I'm telling. Like it has no boundaries what they have been doing so far, because they started from scratch. They started learning and embracing all the people that said something that provided any important issue to neurosurgery. So only to say that as part of the Napoli team, I'm very proud to be in this project that they've been doing, and I'm really happy what they achieved so far. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Domenico, for your view, and I can only agree with you. And that's if you see how the moment just a few years ago the start was, and now we have already this book. It's wonderful. I see it's also live now. There's Roman Bosenak. And for me, it was very special to see, because you really contributed to the book with a chapter on something that not many neuroendoscopists really do in let's say purely endoscopic approach to the pineal. But it shows the boundaries and also the developments that are still ongoing. That's interesting. It's never static. It is not. The developments are still there, and even it is in skull base, but also in these kind of techniques. It's my great pleasure to welcome you, Roman.
Thank you for the word. I must say that I was very driven by the idea of Professor Deopujar and Professor Qureshi. And now when the book is out, I see how big project this was. And it was my worries, because I had some experience to working with my friends all around the world, also in Ivory Coast and Simple, how to put in enough details and how to prepare them for complication in a limited settlement of instruments. So it's easy to work in my department. I have endovascular with me, I have ENT, but so I tried to come out with the idea that I'm coming from a small volume department, but despite this, you can do a nice surgery, you can do difficult cases as well, and you can also get the quality. So I want to put these inspirational moments into my lectures, and I was very honored to get the topic on meningiomas, which is somehow, I would say, the first step after doing pituitaries. Then you meet meningiomas in these regions. And for the pineal, it comes that we developed this approach simply because there was strong pediatric cases. There was a group coming in, I think in a few years, we had 9-8 cases. And I also had a very motivated colleague who is doing ATV and similar on. And so we started doing this because we saw that the pincet, despite beautiful instrument we are using with microsurgery, it's somehow abundant and takes place. And also the corridor was already done. And I always said that endoscopy and microscopy is similar, like being myself with the torch in front of the cave or going into the cave with my torch. So it's no way back. And the pineal region was kind of this deep, very attractive locations. And we start doing this slowly and slowly, using all our experience till now. And it should come out that we can manage the suitably chosen pathologies, I would say, with much more clarity, much more panoramic view, and I think also with more safety. So this was how it took us to this region.
No, and it was nicely illustrated also. I know from many neurosurgeons that they fear a little bit this region of the pineal. while not so many people fear the suprasellar area, but it is all also in the pineal. It is a matter of anatomy, and especially in that area, it's the venous anatomy that is its most important. And you have wonderfully described that, and also how to do that. And the advantage of the endoscope is indeed, as you so nicely put that, the torch inside the cave. It's otherwise a dark area, but now you have the light inside, and that's one of the big advantages of an endoscope. So that's wonderful.
Yes, in fact, you are like a bat in the cave.
Yes,
So you can also look behind.
But you see, a bat use ultrasound, and this was one of the thing to find that. And I don't know if Llewellyn Padayachi is active. I see his name on the list.
Yes, Llewellyn has been unmuted.
Yeah, because Llewellyn, actually in Wales they call it Welshland, but Llewellyn, you wrote this chapter on ultrasound, and what I see around me is that neurosurgeons have still difficulty becoming friends with ultrasound, although especially that technique, it's a real-time technique, and the resolution is so much improved over the years. So I wonder how you well, let's say it's considered to be one of the borders and the developments, but I think you already had quite some experience. Are you still there, Llewellyn?
Yeah, and thanks, Andre. Thanks so much.
I can hear you. Good.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes. Okay, great. Yeah, no, I think a really good time to come in with the ultrasound. The role of ultrasound is after Roman uses a bat analogy, because that's a really sort of nice way to tie them together. So thanks. Firstly, I must start off by echoing some of the thoughts that some of the guys have mentioned previously. So both Chandra and Moody, Salubris, and the sort of managers of this chapter will need to be highly commended for. One can never overestimate the amount of work that goes into putting something like this together. And like you've said, Andre, there's a spectrum of people from across the planet, really, who are authorities in various fields, have contributed significantly to work like this. And under the auspices of the WFNS, I think it just adds so much in the way of stature. And, so it's a real feather in the cap of both Mahmood and Chandra. So I want to just echo that thought and congratulate them. And then just a little bit on the chapter. So I've done quite a bit of work, driving the value of ultrasound in brain tumor surgery, in hydrocephalus, ventricular catheters, neuroendoscopy, I think as well. We tend to think of these adjuncts, as one calls them, in neurosurgery, in little kind of portals, but you can use them together to augment them, to augment each other and really get benefit from them. So I think that was the goal of the chapter, and Nasser Al-Ganda, who also contributed with this, or together with me, we pooled our experience together with this. And I think if you use it correctly, particularly in kids, younger kids with the more complex multiloculated hydrocephalus, it's really useful. So it is a nice opportunity to highlight some of the value. And like you said, the image quality has now become quite exquisite. So I think it's really worth investing one's time to try and master that skill set in neurosurgery. Thanks, Andre.
I just can only agree with you, because as mentioned, this is a real-time technique. I mean, you really, you see that at the time, if you have an MRI scan an hour before surgery, and you start opening one of the septations, the situation is already changed. And with ultrasound, this is really something that I only can urge neurosurgeons to get acquainted with it. That's it's a very useful and promising technique, and should be used actually in many more indications, but that is beyond this. Any more comments, Chandra, Moody? On
David, Dr. David Milani is here. Would you like to say something, David?
I didn't see him in the list. There are more now. David, are you there?
Yes, he's unmuted himself. So
okay, very good. Please.
Would you like to say something, David?
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we
Yes,
can hear you,
yes.
David. Davide.
Um,
Davide.
Good morning, good afternoon to everybody. It has been an honor for me to give my contribution to this book. My topic regards CVJ approaches, in which I think endoscopy have helped a lot the surgeons to manage lesion, because endoscopic approaches are much less invasive than
Somehow we lost
lost him.
connection. Yes, we lost the connection.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we
now?
can hear you, but we
Okay,
apparently
sorry.
lost you for a second.
I was saying that endoscopy in CVJ approaches helped a lot surgeons, because it is an easier and safer approach respect to transoral classical approach, and so I think it should be known by every endoscopic surgeon to manage pathologies, malformative but also oncological pathology in this region. Anyway, I hope that this chapter in this beautiful book can help young surgeons to improve, to learn something about these pathologies.
Yes, absolutely, David. It is because it shows that an endoscope, like a microscope, but even your own eyes. I mean, it's visualization of an area that otherwise is very difficult, as Roman was saying, a dark cave, and we now more and more realize that an endoscope is capable of visualize inside the anatomy and bringing also the light inside. And if we have the microscope, we look from the outside in, and the endoscope really goes into the anatomy, and that makes it complementary. So there is no fight. Should I do it endoscopically or microsurgically? These techniques complement each other, and by doing that, you have an improvement and more possibilities in visualizing pathologies. And that was also in the chapter on malignancies and in the craniovertebral junction, as you said. These are still called the boundaries, but the usefulness of endoscopy has proven itself, especially in these kind of procedures. So it's very good that that also was part of the it's really the whole field of neurosurgery actually covered. Any other comments, or let's see if I see questions in the Q&A. There was only one question, but that has been answered on the ebook. If participants have any more questions to the editors of the book, then please, or raise your hand, that's also a possibility, or write it down in Q&A.
Perhaps a word from a representative of the publishers, because really, I think we need to know how they got it super quick. And obviously they must have their own tricks about all this, but it would be lovely.
Are they there? Are they
Chandra, are they there?
online? Please, then.
Chandra, do we have somebody from the publishers here?
Is Dr. Singh there?
Let me see.
No, she hasn't joined. I
No.
did send her a link, but
But you were right, Moody, because this is indeed from knowing the time when still the urge of sending in the chapters was there, and now all of a sudden the book is already there. That's an amazing time. So I know it because usually that's a period of more than a year that it takes to to get published. Let's see, there is actually one other question quickly on, is the book only available on Amazon, Chandra? That's one of the questions.
currently it is available only on Amazon.
Okay.
And I just received the confirmation that on Amazon, 40% discount has been declared today for the next 3 weeks. And
wonderful.
But I did try to have some of our young neurosurgeons order it on Amazon, and they seem to be, at that point in time, we haven't tried it today, but at that point in time, they were saying.
Link has become active on Tuesday this week. So for last 4 or 5 days, and I know a couple of people have received it. So it's working.
Is it only in India? Is it only the Indian group?
No. It is not only in India, but in Kenya it is not available because Amazon has certain issues in delivering in Kenya.
Okay, that's
so
maybe
they did tell us that there were some queries from Kenya, but they have not been able to supply.
Okay, all right, now understood. Because I was concerned that perhaps globally it was having challenges, but if it's just Kenya, then
probably it is not only Kenya, but there will be some other areas where
there may be some other areas which Amazon is not covering. So we'll have to see if we can make it available on more platforms.
Or maybe even at the end also through the WFNS.
Absolutely. I think the ebook will be an important component, and ebook we are going to keep it editable so that we can add value to it from time to time.
That is an excellent idea.
Right. Perhaps using the WFNS second vice presidents to have some central place where they can order for their continental society might also be a way, because, for example, we've talked about it, but the European, the flank, the Asia, Australasia, I suppose, because the Cairns meeting is in November in Kenya, we might have difficulty ordering them through Amazon, but hopefully that might be resolved by then. But using the WFNS second vice president group to perhaps see whether they can order for their continents through their countries might be one option.
That is possible, one option.
You are right, Moody. I think I'm trying to get the publisher to do that, and I think you will certainly get it for Cairns, as you said. We will talk about it later after the meeting is over.
Sure.
Okay, I think we're ready to wrap up, right, Chandra?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much all for coming out. This is a new use of Zoom, is getting inside the minds of the authors after when the book is hot in the presses. And I think this platform can be used with the writer of articles, publications, articles. Traditionally, you wait for a while for an article to get read, but now I think it can be published immediately on Zoom, at least a look into the minds of the authors. Anyways, okay, thanks everyone for coming, and this will be available on the internet.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks, John, for thanks, John, for spreading the message and for conducting a nice session. Thank you.
Very good.
And enjoy your day.
Thanks for you guys putting all
Thanks,
the work
Andre,
in.
Bye-bye.
Domenico, all of you to join at a very short notice. This was an idea which came from John yesterday, and we just tried to implement it immediately.
Why not?
Yeah.
Wonderful to do so.
John,
you
you're
very
moving
much.
the envelope. You're pushing the envelope every day.
That's what we
Congratulations.
gotta do. That's what we gotta do, like you
Wonderful.
guys do in the OR.
Okay.
Okay,
Great.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Nice seeing you, Andre, as always. Yeah.
okay.
Thanks,
we're off to-
everyone.